I still had the smell of burnt coffee on my scrubs when the pharmacy window slid open and I saw him standing there, tapping a prescription bottle against his palm like it might rattle out an answer. "You're new," I said, not looking up from the label printer, because Fridays at Maple Ridge Pharmacy meant a line out the door and I didn't have time for eye contact. "6 months," he said. "Guess I don't count until you notice me." That got me to look. Dark green scrub top from the clinic across the parking lot, tired eyes, a smile that seemed to know something funny I hadn't caught up to yet. "I'm Priya Anand, 26, pharmacist, and I had exactly 4 seconds of my attention to spare before the next customer needed her inhaler explained for the 3rd time that month. I gave him 3 of them. "Noted," I said, and slid his bag across the counter. "Have a good one, mister?" Callahan. Ben Callahan. Physical therapist. And you say that to everybody, don't you? Have a good one. Like a reflex. He wasn't wrong. It was a reflex, the pharmacy version of a handshake, meaningless and automatic. But something in the way he said it back to me, like he was handing me evidence, made my face go warm in a way I didn't appreciate at 11 in the morning with 60 prescriptions still queued behind him. That should have been the whole story. A funny little exchange, forgotten by lunch. Except he came back. Not that week, not with a prescription even. He came back 3 weeks later holding 2 coffees, and he set one on the counter like it was a peace offering for a war we hadn't had yet. "I owe you an apology," he said. "I've been coming here for 6 months getting my own meds, and I never once asked your name. That's bad. In my job, we're taught the whole person, not just the shoulder or the knee. I skipped a step." "Priya," I said, and took the coffee, because it would have been rude not to, and because it smelled like the good stuff from the place 2 blocks over, not the gas station sludge from the clinic vending machine. "And technically, I'm required to know your name. It's on the label. You're not required to know mine." "I'd like to anyway. I want to tell you I played it cool, but the truth is I've replayed that sentence more times than I should admit to my own sister, who works in billing at the same clinic and has opinions about everybody, especially him. He's sweet," Mira told me over dinner that Sunday, twirling noodles like she was stirring up trouble along with them. "But you know he's divorced, right? 2 years now. Nasty one, from what Denise in scheduling says." I did not know that. It shouldn't have mattered. I wasn't signing up to marry the man over a paper cup of coffee. But it planted something anyway, a small worry seed that liked to sprout at 2 in the morning when I couldn't sleep. Why did a divorce bother me? I'd dated men with worse histories and shrugged it off. Maybe it was that Ben didn't carry himself like someone who'd been through a fire. He carried himself steady, like the ground under him had never once shifted, and steady people who've actually been broken are the ones who scare me most, because they've learned how to hide the cracks. I decided the safest thing was to keep him at arm's length, which is a laughable plan when your workplace is 50 feet from his and you both survive on caffeine and small talk. He kept showing up, not always for himself. Sometimes for patients, he walked across the lot personally so they wouldn't get lost between departments, an old habit from working in a hospital before he downsized to a clinic for what he called an actual life outside of work. I liked watching him do that. I liked it more than I wanted to. Then came the Tuesday that cracked something open between us. An older man, Mr. Ostrowski, came in white as paper, saying his chest felt tight, and I did what any pharmacist does. Got him seated, got someone calling for help, kept him talking so he wouldn't panic. Ben happened to be walking through with a patient of his own, saw the commotion, and was at my counter in 4 strides, calm in a way that made the whole room exhale. He didn't take over. He just crouched next to Mr. Ostrowski and started asking him about his grandkids, keeping his voice easy, buying time until the ambulance crew came through the door. Afterward, once the gurney wheels had squeaked off down the hall and the pharmacy had gone quiet again, I found my hands shaking at the register. "You did that exactly right," Ben told me, leaning against the counter like his pulse hadn't moved an inch. "Most people freeze. You didn't freeze. You didn't either. 10 years of clinical work does that. Steadies you. Or it hollows you out. Some days I can't tell which one happened to me. That was the first crack in his armor, the first honest thing he'd said instead of a line, and it made me trust him more than any joke or coffee ever could have. I asked him, straight out, about the divorce, because apparently near-death experiences make me bold. "She said I brought the clinic home with me," he said. Every conversation, every dinner, some part of me was still charting a patient in my head. She wasn't wrong. It took losing that to learn how to actually be present with a person instead of just present in a room with them. I understood that more than I wanted to. My own last relationship had ended over something similar. A boyfriend who said I loved my patient's problems more than his. Maybe that's an occupational hazard in medicine, the way we're trained to give our full selves to strangers in crisis and then have nothing left over for the people who love us on ordinary Tuesdays. I wonder if anyone who's dated someone in healthcare knows exactly what I mean. That particular loneliness of coming home to someone whose whole day was spent giving pieces of themselves away. We started having actual dinners after that, not just counter conversations. He was patient with the strange hours of retail pharmacy, the way I sometimes had to reschedule because a technician called in sick. I was patient with the fact that he sometimes went quiet mid-sentence, replaying a hard session with a stroke patient who wasn't progressing the way everyone hoped. We didn't try to fix each other's quiet moments. We just let them exist between us, which turned out to be its own kind of intimacy, maybe the realest kind. The second turn came in October, the leaves gone that burnt orange color out past the parking lot when Ben's ex-wife walked into my pharmacy. I didn't know it was her until she said the name on her insurance card and something about the way she looked at the community bulletin board. The one with Ben's clinic flyer pinned to it told me exactly who she was before she even said it out loud. "You're the pharmacist," she said. "He mentioned you." I didn't know what to do with my face. "I hope good things. He said you don't perform for anybody. That's rare." She paused, picked up her bag, and added, almost gently, like she was handing over something she'd carried a long way and was glad to set down. "Don't let him disappear into the job the way he did with me. Make him leave the clinic at the door sometimes. He's capable of it. He just needs a reason to believe it's worth doing." I've turned that over so many times since. Was it generous or was it a warning? Maybe both. Maybe that's what happens when two people who once loved each other stop needing to be right about why it ended and just want the next chapter to go better for everyone involved, exes included. I found myself oddly grateful to a woman I'd only just met for handing me the missing piece of a man I was already halfway in love with and hadn't admitted it, not even to my own reflection. I told Ben about the visit that night, on his back porch, both of us wrapped in blankets against the first real cold snap of the season. "She's not wrong," he said, quiet. "I know I disappear into it. I've been trying not to, with you. I don't know if you've noticed. I noticed you brought me actual coffee and not gas station coffee. I noticed you remembered my sister's name after meeting her once. I noticed you're here right now instead of finishing notes at the clinic, which you usually do until 8. Is that noticing, or is that you keeping score, waiting to see if I fail?" Fair. Painfully fair. I'd been doing exactly that. Tallying up evidence like I was building a case in either direction, protecting myself from being the next person standing in a kitchen saying you brought the whole building home with you. Somewhere in guarding myself, I'd stopped actually being with him and started grading him instead. Maybe both, I admitted. I'm scared of becoming somebody's afterthought. I've done that job before, in a different relationship, and I know exactly how it tastes going down. "I'm not her," he said, and I said, "I know." And neither of us needed to clarify who her was. Not his ex-wife, but the version of myself who'd learned to expect disappearing men. He reached over and took my hand, cold from the porch air, warm underneath, and just held it there without trying to turn it into more, which somehow made it feel like more than anything grand he could have said. We sat like that a long while, breath fogging in front of us, the porch light buzzing faintly, until I finally leaned my head against his shoulder and let myself believe, just for that one evening, that steady didn't have to mean hollow, that some people really do stay present once they've learned the cost of not doing it. It's been almost a year now. He still walks patients across that parking lot personally. I still say have a good one to everyone at my counter, reflex and all, except when I say it to him now, I mean it in a way I never used to mean anything I said on autopilot. Sometimes I think about his ex-wife, wonder if she's found her own steady thing somewhere. Hope she has, because bitterness never got anybody a porch and a blanket and a hand held quietly in the cold. I don't know if every love needs someone to nearly lose their footing first before they learn how to actually stay. But I know that mine did, and I know I'd choose that particular unsteady, honest man all over again, coffee cup and all.